Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another thrilling edition of the channel. In today's episode of Can You Please Save My Daily, we have this Ford Falcon. So the backstory on this one is as follows. Said, well, I've been meaning to do a whole bunch of stuff on it, and the reality is I haven't had a chance to do it, but 2026 is the year this car is going to be shown some love. So Andrew, can you please save it? Hey, listen, it's in good hands. When was it last serviced, and what exactly do you need done? Well, it's got 250,000 Ks, and that's nothing for these barras. But we don't know when it was last serviced, and we don't really have much history on it considering how long he's owned it. I think that's 2019. Last service, 177. That's documented. I'm sure he's got it done since then. Let's hope, fingers crossed. But it's not just the servicing we're doing today. We've actually got a few things because he's saying he's got a bit of issues when driving in regards to the front suspension. He thinks they may be gone. I think so. Whoa, let's have a better look at that. This is like just with a few fingers pushing it down. So yes, I think you need some front shocks. The rear ones are pretty much collapsed as well, so there you go. And he was complaining about getting a heap of shuddering when he was braking as well. Obviously, brake rotors are probably going on this, which doesn't really help the case, especially with the shock absorbers being damaged too. It's going to be a terrible ride. We are on pretty flat ground here, so let's see what's going on with this. You know, it needs some love. We're getting a little bit low. Not crazy, so something's been topped up, but still, no good. And I don't think you need a tester to know that brake fluid ain't any good. So, with all of that considered, there is only one solution to these problems, considering when you ask questions like when was this, that, the other done, no history, and essentially all indicators showing that the car is a little bit neglected. We'll use that word sparingly, but this is the solution I've come up with. Yes. I think I have a solution. All right, so we have a ton of stuff. Now, with this kind of job, again, you can imagine when the customer doesn't really know what's been done to it, can't remember, it's not logged, booked, as in it's not written down anywhere, there's no receipts, there's no indicators of what to do. One must make an assessment based on the information they have. So, this is what we're gonna do. Full service on the engine, spark plugs, engine oil filter, fuel filter, air filter, cabin filter. We're changing the front shocks with some Monroes. We're going to change the strut tops. We're going to change the rear shocks. We're going to change the front brakes. We're at it. We're going to chuck in some diff oil because he doesn't know when it was done. We've also got some good coolant too, so I'll flush the system as well. And to top it off, we're going to be flushing the brake fluid as well because, again, you saw the condition, it ain't any good. So we have all this stuff. Now, which way are we going to go installing it? Now, as a caveat, there's going to be a really long video, so get a drink, get something, sit down, chill out. It's going to take me a while to chop this up. It's going to take me a while to do it all, but we're going to get it done. So first thing I'm going to do is everything up the front. I'm going to do the brakes, we're going to do the suspension, we're going to do the servicing components up the front. From there, we're going to move to the back, get all that sorted, and then we will go for a spin. But before we do that, we might go for a spin now and see how terrible it feels. All right, so fire up. I think those spark plugs may come in handy because there's a little bit of a misfire. Anyway, I'm just going to take this for a spin for the before and after effect. Oh man, you can feel those strut tops making a bunch of noise. Can you hear that? Knock, 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 knock. Oh my gosh, this suspension. Can you hear that from the front left? That. Boom, boom, boom. There you go. I did put a touch of oil in it before I left. Help flush it out kind of thing, because This suspension, man, crazy. This is unbelievable. It's like you're on a trampoline. Whoa. I'll stop and see if I can make it do it. This is awesome. All right, I'm gonna just quickly head down the hill, test these front brakes. Oh, they definitely have a shudder to them, that's for sure. I don't even know if a shudder is the right word. It's doing stuff. All right, I'm heading back. Let's get stuck into it. All right, so back from the test drive, we have confirmed, although I kind of already knew, we need a few things for this. So step number one, let's get into it. Jack this car up. All right, so it is now up in the air on jack stands, but I do have my jack underneath it for extra safety reasons, as you can imagine. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the most time consuming / technically difficult jobs first. So I'm going to do the shocks, I'm going to do the front brakes, and then because the car is already jacked up over here at the front, I'm then going to change the engine oil, air filter, cabin filter, spark plugs, and then whatever else we need to do there, we'll probably do the fuel filter too. So let's get stuck into it. All right, so yes, these have gotten hot, these rotors. This shock is just absolutely covered in oil. So that's definitely done. This definitely ain't looking too good. Again, the pads themselves, probably in terms of how much thickness they have left, are borderline. They're not too bad, but we're going to be changing everything because no point checking some old pads on some new rotors. Another good thing is because it's jacked up, I can actually turn the wheel. So this is actually going to work out really good in terms of efficiency because I have to pull this braking system apart anyway. But then I'll have a lot more access to getting all the suspension components not going up the top just yet to loosen off any of the actual strut top bolts. So chill there. I'll disconnect everything here, let it hang, and then the last step, I'll drop everything down. Slowish, but again, we're changing the rotors, so we're not going to be using old pads. While we're just disassembling the brakes, I'll also prepare the brakes in regards to getting them ready to just throw them all back together. Just going to make it that bit easier. So firstly, I'm just going to compress these pistons. The way I'm going to do this is with this tool. This is actually my own brand tool. Southside Mobile Brake Services. The easiest way to compress your front brake calipers, simply place it in here. And then you can just simply start to compress the pistons. Now, on these Falcons, Commodores, they run this PBR style caliper. They tend to get stuck. So it's a really good idea to use the right tool so you can actually feel if one of the pistons gets stuck. Because if it gets stuck, it is really crap and wears your brakes out. And as you can imagine, does not perform correctly. As simple as that, they have been compressed. If you want one, I sell one, hit the link down below and buy one. As you can see, we do have to clean all this up. Hit it with some brake cleaner and then wipe it down. Now with these calipers, if you notice, they don't have a vent at the back here. So again, it's important to clean it all up because you do not want any buildup interfering with your new brake's performance. As you can see, a lot cleaner, but as you can also see, I do have to scrub a little bit more, but here's an idea of the difference. I am just going to hang this out of the way because it will be in the way when I'm trying to take this suspension out. 15 mil. Take this bracket with you. Clean all of this up. All of this hardware needs to move freely. You hear me say it all the time, broken record. Wire brush, give it a scrub. Pull these off, and the reason you pull these off because there's so much crap under there, which is going to give you some problems. So that's kind of what it's going to look like. Obviously, we're going to do the top as well. These slides do come out and they will need to be cleaned and re-greased. So it's not so bad. What we'll do is get some brake grease, chuck a little bit right there, that'll do. I've gone to a few jobs lately where they've done their own pads and they've not re-greased these, or they've been stuck and the wheel stops turning and it's a bit of a shit show. Like this one's dry as. So definitely do that, because it's going to be the difference between your brakes actually working properly and not. And it is as simple as just cleaning them if they're not stuck or anything like that. And obviously re-greasing them. One last thing here, give this hub a clean. Also feel for the wheel bearing. This feels pretty good. When these Falcon's bearings go, they just really go. Now, I'm not going to put anti-seize on it yet because it's going to make a bit of a mess. I'm just going to tackle this shock first, so let's do that. With this kind of stuff, all the stuff you're going to be taking off, you just want to hit it with a bit of inox just to loosen everything up. If these start to spin, as in these joints, don't worry, we can get them out, no problem. Now you're going to want to keep all this stuff organized as you do it, so have a place for everything, and then we won't have any problems putting everything back together later. Like so, chuck it on, put it to the side. This should generally just come straight out like this. Now we got plenty of room. Upper control arm ain't doing anything. My God, we may need some upper control arms. So we'll tell the customer that, but we're going to keep going ahead with all the work we've got to do today. So let's continue. From there, we're going to disconnect this tie rod end. That came off easy as. Drop that there. Got a bit of movement still, a little bit more to go. Now the sway bar link in here is going to prevent the lower control arm dropping low enough to actually remove the shock, so you're going to drop that too. I'm actually getting really lucky with these coming off like this, but if they don't freak out, this is how you do it. Explain this as easy as I can. So on the top here, you can see you have a hex style setup where you can put a 10mm on top. Then you can either hold it in place with a spanner, with an actual socket, something like this, and then you can actually turn this nut to remove it, because a lot of the time these ball joint setup styles will like to spin in their own housing, so keep that in mind if you get stuck. So from there we can actually get at the main nut on the actual shock. Now before hitting this bolt, you're going to want to not use a metal hammer. Use a rubber mallet, a bit of wood on top of it, because you don't want to mushroom the end of this bolt and not be able to put it back on, as in the nut back over this bolt. Just like that. Again, chuck it all back on, whatever it came off. A lot of these you won't be able to mess up really, because they're all kind of their own shape, size, all this, but to prevent any issues forgetting, just keep them all organized. Now we're going to disconnect it from the top. We're going to remove this out of the way, 210 mils. So with that, we can now remove the shock. So simply just push this down now, and then you can go up, over, and then you can actually get the shock out. Like so. No good. So I'm going to try to explain this instead of doing it and explaining it, because it's a little bit more tricky. So now the way to do this job is, because if you just take this nut off the top here, it'll probably be okay. It's not just going to explode, because the actual shock itself is like dead. It's just going to be spring pressure, but you don't want to do that. What you want to do is to put them back on. You're going to need some spring compressors. These are the ones I use. I've used a couple other types where they've got like the two hooks on the top and the bottom. They suck. Get these ones. I'm not sponsored. I don't have anything to take from you guys. This is just my advice. They work sweet. And that's exactly why I'm going to use them. But you do and should use them to compress the spring. But I'm not going to in this case, because if you compress the spring, it tends to make this top bolt on the inside here that's holding this strut top mount on spin. Now, when the shock is this flogged out, it's not going to just explode and go everywhere. At least that's what I'm hoping. But the reality is that I should just be able to nip it off with the rattle gun, and then it'll just pop off, done. Then I'll compress the spring with these, then reinstall the new strut top and the spring onto the new shock absorber. So 1 foot here, Again, do this at your own peril. I'm pretty sure these aren't just going to explode. So if you feel like they are, don't do this. I think this is turning on the inside actually. It's that flogged out. Now again, that's what I'm saying. You can put something on here and then you can start to turn it off. But because we're throwing the shock away, I'm going to do this. About to come off. Boom. There you go. You see, no one was injured in the production of this video. But that is completely done. It's just not moving at all. Now, I would say this is the more tedious part, or this is the more sketchy part, is getting this spring compressed, but it's not that bad if you have the right tools. So just essentially, you want to line this up like so. So you really kind of want to make it as even as possible. So when you reinstall it, it just goes on. So we're going to leave it there for now and get everything else sorted. So what did we go with? We went with these Monroe shocks, the GT series, or whatever you want to call it. As you can imagine, they should be pretty good. Something like that. So it's compressed, so make sure to get all your other parts ready. KYB strut top. They give you 3 new lock nuts for the actual strut top, but I'm not going to use them. I'm going to use the factory one, and here's my reasoning. I like the fact that these factory ones actually have a wide washer base, so you can actually spread the distribution of force better. Just my 2 cents. Very, very careful with this kind of stuff. Chuck this on. It comes with the new rubber with this KYB kit. Make sure to put it the correct way. As in, line it directly up like that. So now, you can take the nut and put it back on. Do yourself a favor and thread it by hand a few times. You do not want to cross thread this, because if you cross thread the nut, that's one thing. But if you damage the threads on the actual strut, you're going to have to like clean them up, and this is going to be annoying. So don't do that. But as you can see, I've put it on a few threads, so we're good there. Take the impact. Send it like that. Now we can release the actual spring compressors, because we're not going to get our teeth smashed in anymore, which is a good thing. Go one at a time, so bang, 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 because it's going to again prevent the likelihood of one just flying off. Safe to take the other one off, like so. And would you look at that? Now that should feel a whole lot better. So you're probably wondering why I didn't tighten those nuts all the way down. That's just because I leave them a little bit loose to give you a little bit more wiggle room underneath to move things around to make sure things fit properly. So now essentially we can throw everything back together the way we took it out. Oh my gosh. All right, so now it's back at the brakes area. I'm going to be throwing everything back together, and now it's time to put a little bit of anti-seize just on the face of this hub. So now you're probably thinking there's a few other things wrong with this car, and that's probably true, and I'll probably find some more stuff, but it's the old how long's a piece of string thing. Like, budgets matter, what people actually want does matter, what is the most effective thing to do does matter. That is to say, changing the shocks when they're that bad and doing the brakes and giving it a service in regards to the engine, making sure, because it did have that little misfire, getting that all sorted, changing the sparks and whatever, that is going to be the best bang for the buck in terms of, other than things like tires and major safety components, but definitely should make a difference after this. So now we got some brake rotors. Now these are grey because they have a bit of paint on them. Not totally necessary to spray this style down. If they did have the oil, you would definitely want to do that, but just in case there's any contaminants, wipe it down, and now we can throw all of the braking system back together, because again, that's what the benefit of preparation does. Brake pad time, we're going to be throwing a little bit of grease on the back, and I do mean just a light film, just to make sure the pistons and the caliper does not stick to our new brake pads. As you guys know, moving freely like this is exactly what you want. You do not want them to get stuck. And by stuck as well, let's not forget, once I put these in, I'm going to be pushing the brake pedal, making sure this wheel spins when the pistons are actually all the way out, eliminating the idea of these PBR calipers having a piston stuck. I have now pumped the brake pedal multiple times and the pistons have come completely out of the caliper. That's good. If you heard a little sound there, don't freak out. That's just because the pads are touching the rotor. The rotor is painted. Once we wear that off, we'll be mint. All right. That's pretty much most of the crap done. We still have to do the rear shocks. Let's tackle the servicing part of it. Let's get that out of the way. Let's see what we find in regards to how unserviced it's been. Please. Just to go over a little bit of what we're going to be doing in regards to the service, just to be clear, chucking in some Penrite HBR, the good stuff. We got the coolant. I got another bottle of this. We're going to be doing this at the end because draining coolant can be a bit messy. Ryco air, Ryco cabin, oil filter. I believe in the older models they used the Z9. Let me know, but I've done a few Falcons recently and yeah, it's a little bit different. Fuel filter, the big one. I pulled a couple of these out recently out of a few different cars and it is not the most serviced item, I can tell you that. Then we've got some new spark plugs. Again, a little bit of a miss. Let's see if we can clean that up with these. We don't know when they've been done. The usual parameters, guys, we're going to be going the cleanest to dirtiest. So we're going to start with the air filter, the cabin filter, the spark plugs, the fuel filter, and then the oil. You can tell no one has been under this bonnet in a while. So in typical Ford fashion, with their 18 mils and 15 mils, they're using like a weird Torx bit. That's a T25 to hold their airbox together. I am using a rattle gun to pull them out. I will be using this to reinstall the screws. I will not be destroying the screws, destroying the airbox, ripping threads. It's okay. We'll be all right. And I advise you all to not strip the screws on this either because it will not seal properly. Screws do not come all the way out. They will stay partially in the airbox. The moment of truth. All right. Not too shabby. Oi, all right, okay, no good. That has been in there for quite some time. Oh, look at all that. A little bit of a comparison for you. Yikes. But hey, listen, when it's that bad, it's gonna feel a hell of a lot better. Gotta clean this airbox out. If you really want this to perform correctly, block the actual port there so nothing goes in and hold your breath for a bit. New filter is going in. Do not leave that in there. This is on the lowest setting. You see, not going to ruin anything. Breath of fresh air. And to be honest with you guys, I got a pretty sweet site I'm working at today. Check this out. Here's the view. Not too shabby. All right, cabin filter time. Now most vehicles, to get to the cabin filter is very similar, although some vehicles have their own quirks and a few other little things you need to know. So to get at this one, it is very straightforward, but you just need to do this one thing. You see up here, there's a little clip. You just have to push this back like so, and then it drops out. And so does everything else. But there's the cabin filter. Open, so you pull to the side. Oh, that feels chunky. Oh no. Oh no. Don't worry, we're going to save it. He did complain that his aircon wasn't pumping as much air as it used to. So as you noticed with that, it was actually a screen where we're going to be replacing it with an actual filter. So it should smell a little bit better and the air should be that much cleaner. So let's install it. So this side up, very straightforward. Throw this straight in. Take this, and as you can see, we just install it the way we removed the other one. So we're just going to clip this in here. We're looking good. Back and boom. It works. All right, let's do these spark plugs. So spark plug time now. We are not going to remove the spark plugs with the rattle gun, so don't freak out. You have to remove this cover. No, we are not removing the spark plugs with the rattle gun. I've got the ratchet here. But there's a bunch of these T30 bolts holding this on. You got these breathers here. They simply just pop up like so. Bang, bang. Move them to the side. Remove this cap. Just pop that off. When you've done that, chuck these breathers back on. We do not want anything going in the engine. As you can see, we do have a cam cover leak as well. The reason I bring that up is because generally speaking, then there's actual seals in each of the well where the spark plug is, and they may have some oil on them, but we'll see what happens. So we've got just a connector here. You want to pop this off. We'll take these two because we need to get to these 10mm bolts. Well, this one's dry. Now, what are we betting? This has not been changed before. Please don't be stuck. Oh. Yeah. Here we go. In some instances, it would have been good if there was actually oil in this spark plug well. Lubricate those threads up a bit. Nah, it's coming out. We'll be right. Not really too bad. They're a factory Ford plug. Denso style, I believe. Oh, yep, it is. Which is a Japanese plug. But we will be changing them out for an NGK. Again, now that we know we've done them, iridiums, you probably won't have to think about this for the life of the car, because you get away with iridiums for 80,000, 100,000 K, so let's throw these in. Now I will just on the threads, just a touch of inox. Now this isn't to prevent it getting stuck in there in the future, this is just for the current installation. So now it's really flattened out. That'll do. About 25 Newton meters is all it takes. All right, 1 down, 5 to go. All 6 out, replaced. Have a look at them, let me know what you think. But again, judging by the rest of this vehicle, they were definitely due, and it should help this little misfire. So the burn on them isn't too bad, really. It's just about how long they've been in there, I suppose. Look, if we're going to be doing everything like this, spark plugs are definitely one of those situations where we'll change them and forget about them for a long time. All right, with that done, these can go in the bin, and it is almost 6 p.m. so I just got to keep going until this is done. But pretty much most of the stuff has been done. Now, if I'm looking at it, we pretty much just got to do the engine oil filter, diff fluid, and the rear shocks. The rear shocks shouldn't take as long. But I'm going to bang out the actual oil first, and from there, jump at the back and change these shocks. So, if you're still here, we are about to remove the engine oil. But if you're also still here, like the video, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Just do anything right now. Give yourself a chance, then give me a chance, because it pumps the video and gets more people to watch my stuff, which is a good thing for the channel. Thanks guys, back to the video. You know, surprisingly though, it doesn't really have any leaks. It has a slight leak at the back, and I do mean slight, potential rear main, but when I changed those spark plugs too, the actual spark plug well gasket wasn't leaking or anything, so we're pretty good there. Because of the lack of servicing, it would be ideal to run some cheap oil through it, but we're going to be keeping up to date with the servicing. Or you could like do another service in 5,000 Ks or something, but most important part is it is actually getting serviced. So let's take this oil filter off. Again, not sponsored or anything like that, but buy these to remove oil filters. They work awesome. You can pick them up from like hardware stores and all this kind of stuff, and auto parts stores. Touch of the old oil on this seal here. That's how easy it should go on. This is how hard you tighten it. Yeah, about that tight. You got to remember that seal on it, that's what's stopping the oil from coming out. Don't worry too much about the thread. Anyway, wipe this all down. Before I pour this oil in, take a look at the state of this oil filter. Look at that, that's nuts. I'm going to be running the HPR 5. Very good oil. Alright, so that'll do for now. It's pretty much going to take the whole bottle, I believe. 6.8 litres plus filter, so we'll see how we go. Well, we're in the clear now in regards to the engine having oil in it, and we are safe to start it, or if somebody accidentally does, it won't blow up. The pile of rubbish is getting bigger, and the pile of stuff I need to do is getting smaller. I'm going to change this fuel filter now, and then we'll go to the back. So there's the fuel filter now. Looks like that's been on there for ages. Alright, let's remove it. I did tell you guys this is one of the more overlooked parts on servicing these cars. You can fit this like that, boom, that's in there, that's in there. Always, I mean, I suppose there's no option but hand tight. It's on. Also, I found something else. Here's the tail shaft center bearing. It is a bit, how you going? Oh, we're at the back. You guys are probably wondering, it's dark, why are you still here? You must remember, although I'm showing you how to do this stuff and taking you along for the journey, I do have to do two sides of everything. So, just on the other side, gonna do this side now. The brake pads are really low on this, on the back. I brought them just in case you didn't know, but these are a solid rotor up the back, as in like they were single piece, and although they've been on there a while, no real big lip, no real heat spots, but either way, he's going to need some pads. So I'm going to throw some pads in here, change this shock, and I'll see about the diff fluid if I'm going to do it, or I might come back another day, but I'll do the brake fluid for sure. Now, unlike the front shocks, these are extremely easy to change, these rear ones. Just 2 bolts, bang them out. I do have a jack under the actual lower control arm just to raise and lower it if I need to align this actual shock absorber. So take this top bolt out, just like that. Can't see any labeling on it. The bushes in here are wrecked. Bottom one ain't so bad. All right, new ones. So I'll chuck this bottom bolt in. Don't tighten it all the way down initially, because you want it to be able to move a bit on installation. So now we may need to use the jack in regards to adjusting a couple of things, but this shock's gonna just come straight back up. So you see, I'm just manipulating the jack just so I can line it up. Okay, you want it to just move smoothly in like so. Another point is you really want to have it, because this jack is lined up about where the suspension will sit naturally. So that's why I've jacked it up a little bit more just then, because it is a good habit to tighten the suspension down in the position in which it will sit neutral as it drives. All right, with that done, we're going to do these rear brakes. We're just using pads. See how we go, because you're about to see they're kind of low, so we really want to avoid any drama. So you're going to want to remove just this one bolt from it. This will come up, and you will pull this out to the side. And as you can see, this is what I'm talking about. Need to be done. Now we're just going to compress it with these pliers. You can't fit most brake tools in here, so these kind of circlip pliers does the job very well. So, re-grease, reinstall. These rear brakes never really have problems in regards to the way they operate. And there will be a bit of pushback to them, which is normal, but as you can see, they're sitting properly. All right, I'll bleed the brakes because I've got this wheel off here, so it's easy to get to this one while I'm at it. And then we will maybe change the diff fluid tonight, depending on how I feel. This is what the brake fluid looks like before. I'm gonna start pushing the brake pedal. As you guys know, I have my patented, well, it's not really patented, but brake bleeder tool. It's connected up to the actual rear caliper now. I'm just pumping 3 or 4 times, pushing out all that old fluid. And then we'll go onto the fronts and check in and see how clean this fluid is. All right, so pretty much done. Now that is looking clean. I'll say it is definitely, you gotta, with these PBR calipers, flush them every now and then. They do tend to stick. I don't know what it is about the design, but they do that. All right, on to the next thing. Now I know what you're thinking, Andrew, you said you weren't gonna do the diff fluid. I can't help it. I gotta go till the bell's done. That's it, yeah? So, I've taken the top fill plug out, I should say, so just keep that in mind whenever doing the diff. It's very, very common to know, but make sure to take that fill plug out first. Oh man, thank God I did do it. That is never been changed. Looking at the rear diff bush, it's got a couple cracks through it. It's the factory one, so at some point it'll probably need to be changed. It's obviously it's got those 2 other bushings too, but can't do that tonight. I let that drain for a little bit longer just because it was so dirty. And you pretty much with this just pump it until it starts overflowing out the fill plug, and then you're done. Just like that, it's going to overflow and come out a little bit. Drain the coolant, filled it back up, just bleeding the system. I'm going to give the ground a wash. There's a hose over there. Clean all the calipers, clean everything and all this kind of stuff because I got a bit of brake fluid on them. Then we're going to go for a spin. It should be sweet, but check this out. That is the work we did. We on. And it sounds, as you can imagine, so much smoother. One thing that cannot be overlooked, I'm going to be filling out this kind of service history book, putting everything in, the kilometers, what was done, all this kind of stuff, so then we can start to keep track of what's actually going on. Obviously, we're going to go for a spin, make sure the brakes work, make sure there's no weird, excessive, oh, the shockies feel incredible. Oh man, it is like a new vehicle. Still got a few knocks and clunks here. You guys saw those upper control arms, but it's one of those situations where, oh, the brakes feel good too. I got to burn these brakes off. We're on Mount Tambourine, if anyone knows what that is. So you're going to need good working brakes around here because we're coming down the mountain. So far, so good. It is night and day difference in how smooth it is. Night and day. This is why I was saying you got to pick where you're going to put your money. The how long's a piece of string analogy is so true in this. Like, the best investment is the brakes on any car. Tires, brakes, suspension, service. That's the best investment. So I mean, it is incredibly different. I'm not just saying that, guys. It really is. Oh, when we get back, I'll push the car up and down and I'll show you how it's actually supposed to go. Brakes feel great. You saw the color of the brake fluid. You saw the conditions of the brakes. What a difference. And the misfire's gone, which I didn't mention before, but it is. So I'll just do a couple of little stops around here, try to keep everything safe and bob on. It's just, I can't get over the suspension. Obviously, when you go from completely rooted to good, man, love to get his reaction in it. By the way, I've known this customer for ages, so you guys are like, he's neglected his car, or all this crap. You'll probably kill him in the comments. It's just the way it is, you know what I mean? He's super cool dude, always been just, even before I was a YouTube superstar, always just such a top fella to work with, you know what I mean? Puts me under the shade, lets me have free roam to do what I want. Just one of the best customers you could ask for, you know what I mean? So this is why I go the extra effort, you know? When people are good people, you want to help them. So we'll go back, see if he's available to go for a spin and see what the verdict is. All right, so we are back. Customer is not here, essentially. So what I'm going to do is chuck the keys somewhere where he'll be good to grab them. And I'm going to wrap this video up, do a quick nut and bolt check, make sure there's no excessive leaks, anything like this. It's running a million times better. I'm sure he'll be stoked when he watches this because he does watch my YouTube stuff as well. So let's have a quick look. That's how it's supposed to feel. Excellent. We are done. We are back. Everything is looking $1 million. But you already knew that. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, like, share, subscribe, check out the other stuff. If you want to get in contact with me, head up this Facebook page here. If you want to buy something from the store, head over to the store. I sell some cool stuff. If you want to email me down below. I do have a members section, and if you want to sign up to support the channel, if you like these videos, if it's educational, any of this kind of stuff that gets you over the hump, sign up. It really helps me out. Also, another thing, I've been saying this in a couple of videos lately. I'm so sorry about the delays. One-man army trying to get it all done. As you guys see, I don't look at my phone when I'm doing the work, but anyway, I love you all just the same. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.